Have you ever replayed a moment from your past and thought, if I could just go back, I'd do it differently?
Have you ever had a conversation with somebody, not in your life anymore, but they are still in your head?
Have you ever punished yourself for something that you did when you were a different version of yourself?
What if regret feels like it's helping you learn, but your brain is actually just rehearsing the same pain over and over?
Yeah, because your brain doesn't know the difference between practicing something and preparing for something. I'm Kenzie.
I'm Jamie, and we're the
nervous.
we are not in Rhythm Network. Okay.
All right. I'm Kenzie.
I'm Jamie,
and we are
the Nervous Truth Network.
There we go. Yeah! The charm.
Why do we hold on to the past? Why is it even a thing? Think about it. Like, think about shame,
regret.
How about why did I let that happen?
Why didn't I do better?
And then wishing you knew what you knew then, you know now. We kind of go, oh, if only I would have known better. What if I would have been smarter?
Yeah, it's replaying conversations in your head over and over and over.
A lot of us judge our past selves using information we only have because we survived it. We have the information because we had to go through that survival process to have it, but also we're using a lens of now. I mean, we're like older and mature, and yet we're using that lens of we should have had that lens then.
You're looking back at yourself with the knowledge, the maturity, and the awareness that you have now, but that version of you just didn't have those tools yet. You know?
I think I mentioned it in our last episode, is that the brain is always trying to predict. Because the brain sees prediction as if I can predict something bad, I can prevent it. I can stop it. I can change it. I can do something about it. But prediction is, for the most part, it's rooted in the past. It's rooted in what was, those habits, those things that we've done over and over again. That's what it's rooted in. It's predicting the old web, the old skills, the old knowledge.
Yeah, because when something painful happens, your brain wants to solve it. It wants to prevent the danger that it feels.
Because again, it's saying, I can solve the puzzle. I can make sure that we don't hurt again, that doesn't happen to us again, because it knows the pain of the survival process. And it's like, I don't want to go through that process again. So what am I going to do differently to make sure that that doesn't happen?
It's trying to find the lesson in it.
It's trying to find the change, because it's always like a risk assessment. It's always going, what's risk, what's risk, what's risk, all the time, right? Which is an exhausting process, by the way. But sometimes that replay of it over and over again in order to survive, it becomes like we're recycling the past.
Yeah, you're rehearsing it. You're not processing it.
Well, like, think about this. If you've ever been like in a play in school, you rehearse those lines over and over and over again, because A, you want to do well, because you're like, if I don't want to fail, I don't want to do bad. I want us to be successful, so I better learn my lines. I better rehearse it over and over and over again.
I mean, it's really just reflection versus rumination. Like, reflection is more of, I've learned something, and rumination is, I'm trying to change something that already happened. I'm trying to rewrite my past. But your past can't be rewritten.
Do you ever see that movie, The Butterfly Effect? With Ashton Kutcher.
I love that movie.
Okay, that's what it is. If you haven't seen it,
watch it.
Check it out. Watch out. In that movie, he spends like the whole movie trying to go back and change things. And what does he end up doing? He makes it worse.
There's a show. What's that new show? He tries to go back and stop JFK's assassination. It's the same thing. He keeps going back to try to prevent it.
Yeah.
And every time he does something different in the past, it changes what happens in the future.
Yeah, because the future's always going forward. It's always moving. Things are always moving. And if we're so stuck in one point in time, in reality, we're making the future worse, potentially different, what it wasn't meant to be. And a lot of times, if you're so stuck on one event, what are you actually learning?
Not a lot. I mean, if you're replaying your old trauma by saying things like, I should have known, then your brain learns, I'm someone that makes bad choices and
Yeah.
I can't trust myself.
And like replaying rejection, it feels, they left me because I wasn't enough. Your brain learns I'm unsafe in relationships.
And replaying failure by saying things like, I failed before, your brain learns I am a failure and trying is dangerous, so I'm just going to stop.
Yeah, it's that risk avoidance because it goes, I don't want to fail. It's the same thing when I shared in the last episode, and we were talking, you and I were talking about the fact that we have these patterns of like dropping out of school because school and that risk and that pain of failure, that's what we were wiring into our brains, that school equaled failure, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not enough to get anywhere in life. That's all we were replaying and rehearsing was failure and rejection.
Yeah, because what we repeat becomes easier to access. That's where your brain automatically goes because that's your normal.
Practice makes perfect. But if we repeat this, it becomes that road that's easily accessible. It's those webs. It's almost like I imagine that when we're accessing, they're like lighting up. And because the brain's going, I have to remember this. We're accessing that road, and then that road is going, this is important.
Mm-hmm.
I need to retain this. They keep accessing the same road. Obviously, the message is it's a really important road.
I mean, your brain keeps trying to protect you from a life that doesn't even exist anymore. You're so far past removed from your trauma, from all of these things, but your brain is still trying to protect you because you didn't go back and heal that hurt. You moved on, you pulled up your bootstraps, you know.
You sucked it up.
But I don't think that acceptance means approval. Acceptance is not approval for me. It doesn't mean that what happened was okay. It doesn't mean that I deserved it. It doesn't mean that I stopped caring. It doesn't mean that I stopped arguing with reality. It means that I can accept what happened, but it's not approving it.
Well, I think that acceptance is a really hard concept for people to connect with because acceptance feels like for most people that we're not progressing. That for a lot of people feels stuck. Well, I accept it. How do I go forward? It's like they need this very black and white answer, not, hey, sometimes we have to accept that this isn't a reality where we can go back and change things. That's not a thing that we can access. Accepting it is this ability to unstick ourselves, even just temporarily, to go find something, to access something, to gain something. And then we can move a little bit further into acceptance. And we kind of gather those skills, we gather that knowledge, and then we go a little bit further. Acceptance is the ability to be able to explore, to be able to be curious, to be able to expand ourselves past just this is it.
The past is a place that we can visit, but we can't live there. We can't live in our past. We can't keep reading the same page of our book over and over and over again, like we talked about with algorithms. There has to be more. You have to get out of the algorithm of your life to find true peace and to be able to accept it.
And you brought up a good point because I talk about this in therapy with people when you said the past is a place you can visit and you shouldn't live. It's like, the song The Hotel California. You can check in, but you can never leave. That's how people use their past, their habits of like, this is just the final destination. Like, this is where I have to be. You visit those places just like you visit your emotions and you visit your memories, but you can't immerse yourself in them. Of this is my present and this is my future.
I mean, I used to live in my past, so I stayed there because I wasn't forgiving, I wasn't forgetting, I wasn't doing any of it. I was just carrying all of it with me and I kept it. I didn't know how to get out of it. But acceptance really means that, like, this happened.
Can't change the event.
Yeah. But I can change what I do with it.
I can't change how people talk to me or how they feel towards me, but I can do something with what they give me. Like, I can change it within myself. I can't change you, but I can change how I interact with you.
People don't have to listen to you. People don't have to do what you want them to do. And you being angry and carrying it forward, it sticks with you. When you choose not to forgive people, that sticks with you. It doesn't stick with them. Forgiveness is for you. It's not for other people.
So let me ask you this, because we're talking about being stuck in the past. What version, Kenzie, of yourself are you still punishing I mean, that's a question for all of us. Are we still punishing a version of ourselves that doesn't exist?
I had a really hard time with accepting my dad's death. That was something that I have done a lot of work on with this. Mind you, he died when I was 6. After doing all of this work and writing him a ton of letters that I can't send to him, I've accepted it and I've learned that I'm missing somebody that I never knew because I was young. I didn't know him.
Hmm.
I'm longing for something that I never had because I never had it, but I keep telling myself that I deserved it. I keep telling myself that I should have had a dad, but in reality, life happens. People die. It's part of life, but I had to accept it for what it was because I can't bring him back. I can miss him. I can do that. I'm going to start crying. I can miss him, but I don't know what I'm missing. Do you know what I mean? I don't have anything to miss. And that's what's been hardest for me to accept. But punishing myself for being a 6-year-old kid is insane. I couldn't have done anything to stop it. Maybe if he had a heart attack 20 years later, he would have been fine, but he wasn't. It is what it is. And I'm thankful that I had the time with him that I had. I'm thankful that I was birthed. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. I wish I got to know him, but maybe I'll get to know him in the next life, you know?
Absolutely.
Are you going to answer that question or are you just going to put me on the spot?
What would you say to your younger self if they were sitting across from you?
No, you.
Oh,
What would you say to your younger self if they were sitting across from
oh my gosh. Like little Jamie. Okay. So much because that little girl was in so much pain. The memories I always go back to is the loneliness of childhood of being like severely, severely bullied for looking, I guess, different because of
the red hair and the
it's
freckles?
red hair and freckles. We're the redhead stepchild, right? Um, being so different and moving into a community where everybody had known each other growing up. And mind you, I'm coming into like 3rd grade, and that little girl was so lonely and so desperate for someone to love her. Of course, I had like my parents and stuff, but societally, community, friends, like I wanted people to see me and love who I was. And I constantly chased that from these people with constant rejection. Constant, I was not good enough. I didn't belong. I was an outsider. I was an outcast. I think I was probably the only 3rd grader who wanted to drop out of school. I was like, 3rd grade education, no worries. I've got this. I can take the world on it as a 3rd grade education. I would say to that girl that it's going to get better. This isn't the end of the road. I was on the verge of this thought of, I don't want to be here anymore. And I would just hug that girl and I've had to over the years is learn that I have to be that friend. I have to be that safe landing spot that she never. And I would tell her that she's loved and that she's important and she matters. And even if she didn't feel like she mattered to those people, she mattered to a lot of other people. And she would matter to a lot of people in the future.
She matters to me a whole ton. I had similar feelings growing up. I was very lonely. I did get to the point where I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't have people close to me, but I don't know if I was really bullied, but I moved in 4th grade and same thing. I knew nobody. Mind you, I was there until like my junior year, and then I moved in the middle of junior year after a suicide attempt, and that alone was awful. Like there was a teacher that was talking crap about me because of my suicide attempt, and I'm like, where's the empathy? But
It's messed up.
that was something I carried with me. I carried with me the people that weren't there for me when that happened because there was a lot of people that weren't there. They thought it was a cry for attention, but I don't think that's what depression is. I don't think depression is a cry for attention. Depression is a state of loneliness that you are consumed by. And even when you get the attention, you don't feel it.
I learned to hate myself because I felt hated and despised by society. And that became my body's identity. It became my soul's identity. It became everything that I was dependent on this view that my quote unquote school community gave me. And my body learned that, my brain learned that. And it became myself betraying me. And I thought that's what led to me feeling like I'm broken. But my body was in a constant state of fight or flight and just to survive elementary school. because I never knew I was going to walk in one day from 5th grade, a girl asking me if I was pregnant because she said I was fat. 5th grade. 5th grade. When's your baby due?
I don't even think I knew what sex was in fifth grade,
Yeah, I didn't
honestly.
either. But I felt rejected. And so what did I do? I started rejecting myself because they rejected me. Everything in me just said, well, how do we get through? We just adapt to complete rejection and we hide from the world because the world isn't safe. My body's not safe. Nothing about me safe.
Hmm. So, what should we do for homework to try to go past that? I think for the next week, we need to all focus on when we replay something. What are we replaying? Why are we replaying it? We're not trying to rewrite the event, we're trying to rewrite our relationship with it.
So let's look at the application of what we're talking about is we have to start to kind of rewrite. And part of that rewriting is going to change those neural pathways. So some of the questions that we can think about this coming week is what happened? What did I learn from it? What did my brain decide because of it? Is that belief still protecting me? And what do I want to practice instead? Or what does my future self need right now? It's going back to talking to that other part of you. In therapy, there's a clinical term called the empty chair. And it's this concept that you could put anybody in this empty chair. If you weren't there, and I would say, my younger self's going to go in that chair. You could have this conversation. You could ask these questions with yourself or whomever sits in that chair.
Like an example, if you were abandoned, you say, okay, I was abandoned. So my brain learned people leave. Like, what did your brain learn from what you feel like you were? And how can you now practice choosing a safe relationship? How can you practice feeling less abandoned?
Yeah, again, we're going back to that it was and now it is. We talked about the outdated software. We're taking the outdated software and we're uploading new functional things. We're going, hey, I was that fat kid. I was that kid that felt so lonely. I'm not lonely now. I have community. I have people who love me. That having relationships and having people in your life doesn't equal abandonment. So I think that some of the takeaways, of course, we want you guys to focus on the activity, but I also want you guys to think again and remind yourself. You can even tell yourself, my brain is listening.
Mhm.
What I repeat matters. And what I focus on helps me grow. What am I growing? What am I cultivating?
You could be growing bad things. I mean, you can't change where you started, but you can influence where you go next. You can change where you go next.
Well, yeah, I mean, we all have a past, but if we spend all of our time in the past, we're not in the present, and we're certainly not in our future.
All of us have mistakes in our past. We
Gosh,
all have an
absolutely.
identity. We all have old versions of ourselves. We all have shame. We all missed some opportunities. You don't just have a personality, though. You have patterns that you've practiced repeatedly.
We can't change the chapter that we're in because our chapters are constantly changing, but we can definitely rewrite what's on our pages. We can change the story because we are the authors. We hold the pen.
Yeah, but if you keep reading that same page, you're gonna miss the rest of the story.
Well, yeah, like let's use J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter. If she just stayed on one page and she kept going over that page and rewriting and so focused, we would have never gotten the series. We would have never gotten that full story. We would have never gotten that experience. And that's the same thing that we're doing is we have to move on from that one page. We have to explore the next. And just remember, one stumble isn't stuck.
It's signal, not the end.
All right. See you in the next one. Bye.
Oh, bye.